what got them to be a millionaire, the emotional side, the spiritual side, the practical side of wealth. You'll also get to meet the women behind the scenes helping make it happen. Let's dive into Women Behind the Millions. I am Jessica Weaver, your host, best-selling author of 3 books, wealth advisor, and founder of the Women's Wealth Boutique. Let's start meeting the women. Hello, ladies. Welcome to Women Behind the Millions. I am Jessica Weaver, your host, and today we're going to be talking about all the fun things with taxes. Yes, taxes, but it's so important, not just taxes, but really the finances of a company. Such an important aspect of it, something that a lot of women, I think, shy away from when they are the business owner. And that's why we have people like our guest tonight here to help and become that CFO for your company, or two. And especially when you're starting out. And that's what this whole season, our Beyond the Broker season, is about. When you're ready to step into independence and leave that corporate wirehouse team infrastructure, and now you have to recreate the benefits, payroll, taxes, retirement plans, all of that for your own company. And then you're also in finance. So now you're doing it for your clients as well. And sometimes we forget about ourselves in the mix along the ways. So again, that's why we brought together so many incredible women, these specialists in all these different areas that you need to look at, from the recruitment side to building out your dream team to the infrastructure, the finances, the compliance, all that fun stuff as well. And I want to share with you tonight's guest and I, she doesn't know this yet, but we have something very unique in common about us. And she's backstage, so we're going to watch her face. Maybe I should share it when she comes on. But I'm going to give her a little hint. So tonight, we always try to start with a quote. And I saw this as we were about to start recording. Aruba is the answer. Doesn't matter what the question was. So we do have this love for an island in Aruba. I am here in New Jersey, so it's very easy for us to get down to the Caribbean. And I fell in love with Aruba. I believe I was in college, freshman year in college. I played basketball through college, and we always had to promise our coach that we would not book any spring break trips because that was the kiss of death. Why? Because during spring break, if you worked hard enough and were lucky enough, you would make it to March Madness. And if you had a trip booked, then you would have to cancel that trip. And it was also kind of bad voodoo to have anything scheduled. My father had booked a last-minute trip to Aruba for him and my mom, and I just tagged along because though we did not go into March Madness, we did win a different tournament that year and got done just in time to fly to Aruba with my parents. And I convinced my father, they ended up buying a timeshare down there, that this was a good luck charm to have a trip to Aruba at the end of the basketball season to look forward to. And ever since then, it's just when I meditate, that's where my mind goes. When I'm looking for a moment to relax, I just started doing an essential oils inhaler. And they said to think of that relaxing place. And immediately my mind goes to the white sandy beaches, the turquoise water, the trade winds, the breeze hitting you. And y'all can probably start to feel it, even in my tone of my voice, that relaxation that it always brings up for me. And now my kids love going there, which is so much fun. We'll be going there for a spring break this year. And it's just, we always say one happy island. In fact, my in-laws are there right now for their anniversary at the time of this recording. So I can't wait to talk about One Happy Island Aruba with our guest tonight. Tonight we have with us Sandy Petty, and she is a top 10 pro advisor and top 50 client accounting services award winner and fractional CFO. She has her own company. We're going to go into her career, what got her to be at this place, and how she really assists and supports firms like us when in regards to the finances. So let's bring Sandy. Hello, Sandy Petty. How are you tonight?
Hey, how are you, Jessica? And you would not believe, but recording live and direct from guess where?
Aruba. Oh my goodness.
Mhm.
No way. My in-laws are there right now.
So am I, Jessica. Yay.
I
Wow, we have two loves. We have two loves. Basketball.
ah, oh my gosh.
I was on the national team for Aruba.
You were? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, this is
Yeah.
so cool.
I know. I played basketball growing up and all the way through high school. And yeah, and so we have the love for basketball, March Madness, everything March Madness, and Aruba, of course.
Yes, finance, 3 loves. I
Right.
mean, this is what I love
Yes,
about
yes,
this show. I had
yes.
no idea. I need to get your autograph. My daughter needs to meet you. We are gonna be in Aruba, what, beginning of April, so
You said
for you to be
y-
there.
yeah, but I should be there back then. I mean, I'm coming back to I'm here now. I'll
Okay.
come back to the US, but around that time I should be coming back as well.
So, Sandy, you grew up in Aruba,
I did. I grew up in Aruba.
and then did you come to the States at some
To
point?
school here. I speak all the languages, so Dutch is my first language. Yes, I came to America when I was 16 to go to college to Hofstra University in Hempstead, Long Island,
Oh,
to study accounting.
look at that. You were young. Very
I
well,
was.
very bright. So
I
16
was.
Hofstra, yeah, not far from where I am. Okay.
Right. Right.
For it too. And then did you go back to Aruba? Did you stay in the States for a bit?
So I graduated and I went to Europe for a little bit. I traveled and then went back to the States just for a little while, and then I came back to Aruba and then returned to the United States for my MBA. So in between that time, 86 to 88, I traveled a little bit, and then I came back um, to St. John's University for my MBA in finance.
Okay, amazing. In your chapter, Cindy's one of our authors in our Beyond the Broker. You
Mhm.
begin by talking about building your dream house in Aruba. So are you currently in that dream house right now, Sandy?
I am not in that dream house, but in July of this year, I purchased a different home, and
Okay.
I'm in that home right now.
Oh, amazing. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
A few years ago, so when was this? This is when my husband and I were 30 years old. We brought our daughter, who was 8 months old, to Aruba, and we would go with my parents. They have a timeshare there, and
Mhm.
we went to dinner, just the 2 of us, and I said, "I have a surprise for you tomorrow." And he was like, "Oh, well, like a snorkel cruise or a couples massage." He said, "No, we're gonna meet with a real estate agent, a realtor."
Oh, wow.
And this was on my vision board. It was always our dream.
Right.
It's been like 5 to 10 years, buy a place down in Aruba that we can go to, especially when my husband's a police officer. So when he's
Mhm.
retired, we can go for extended
You're
periods of time. Can
right.
work
Exactly.
remote in his job. And we ended up buying a place that was pre-construction. So as you
Okay.
imagine, Sandy, we're here in the States. We're building the condo.
Mm.
Fortunately, we had a very good contact down there who was actually married to one of the builders, and she's also interior decorator. So she would pop around to all the stores, picking out tiles, sending us texts so we could pick it out remotely. She was incredible. We had all of our stuff in a cargo that got shipped down there. Somehow
Mhm.
we lost a couch. We lost a few things along the way, but we ended up finally getting the couch a few months later. But it was really neat to walk in. I was pregnant with our son when it finally got done. We walked in. It was kind of like an HGTV show, right?
Oh,
We never
wow. Yeah.
saw it in
Saw
between.
it. And you're like,
We walked
whoa.
in. It was crazy. And then
Oh,
my husband went down one more time with my in-laws. I was too pregnant to fly at that point. We had our son and then COVID hit. So
oh
fortunately,
my goodness.
we've had good tenants down there. We had tenant that
Mhm.
opened up an Italian restaurant. He's from Italy, she's from Brooklyn. They have an Italian restaurant down there. So we've had good tenants since we knew COVID and newborn, we weren't gonna get down there for a while, and it's just become a rental property. We didn't expect it that way, but for two.
Mhm.
So I'm curious, for us learning how to, one, buy our first rental property in a different country,
Country.
I mean, the mortgage rules were blew my mind. We had to get life
Mhm.
insurance on each other. Because we were younger, they gave us a longer term, but there wasn't much
Mhm.
underwriting or credit history checks, and
Yeah.
it's so, so different. How about
Than the
you
United States.
going through this dream house process? What was it like for you, Sandy?
So the one I wrote about in the book, obviously was a different time period. I was single at the time and just, you know, trying to figure out building a house from scratch. And it wasn't like a condo or anything. So it's like really clearing the land, digging the foundation, all the blueprints, not just for the build part, but also for the electrical part. I mean, very, very, very detailed.
I can
And then I would travel back and forth to Miami to pick out showers and tiles and different things, and then I had everything shipped in. So, but everything was custom. Kitchen cabinets were custom built by a carpenter. It's very, very, very intricate and detailed, and that's what I referenced in the chapter that I wrote as far as infrastructure, right? And ensuring that, the one thing that I recalled was when I was building, I had to truly make sure that we dug deep enough, right, to ensure the foundation could withstand the house being built on it. So I truly got a good understanding of what infrastructure meant and ensuring that you have a good solid foundation. And it's interesting how that's upon which I've been able to serve my clients. And kind of, when I talk to future or prospective clients about their financial infrastructure, I reference that. I see it clearly. I have a vision of the importance of it. This is their financial house that they're building, right? Whether it's their company, their firm, and if they want to scale, grow, whatever, they've got to ensure that the infrastructure and the foundation could withstand that growth or the scalability that's to come in the future. They can't see it today, but if they have a vision for what they're hoping to build or where they're headed to in the future, that's really critical.
and I'm sure then they can bring you in because firms at that level, what are their pain points, what blindsided them, all of that, so you can build it into that solid infrastructure, that base as well. I know for us, we learned, right, it's always gonna take longer and probably more money than you initially thought.
Yes.
And so many details, and where you have to spend your money might not be where you want to spend your money, right? On the fun things, right? The decor and the logos, but having the strong legal counsel, compliance, the technology tools that not the anesthetics that you get to see, but they're so important and they are gonna take up a good chunk of the budget for it as well.
Exactly. Exactly. And the thing about it is too, Jessica, is that oftentimes business owners at that growth stage, they're very price sensitive, they're very budget sensitive.
Mhm.
And a lot of times they think, here is where I ought to spend, or here is where I want to spend. And this is why it's so critical that they understand the need for some of the back office that might not appear to be so sexy, but it's very, very critical.
Yes. Yes.
If you don't pay for it now, you will pay for it in the long run, in the future. And it's going to be more, right? And it's going to be double X or triple X in the future. So it's better to have the right advisors and the people in place to ensure that you start building early.
Yes, because what's the other side, right? Then there's a compliance issue, a legal issue, clients unhappy, clients leaving, the last thing that you want when this comes into place. I remember when I was looking to branch off from the broker-dealer world into the REA space and getting a lot of the different custodians worked with me to build out what does that budget look like? Because they
Mhm.
do it all the time. This was my first time doing this, and I remember saying, like, "It's not gonna cost me this much money." Right? There's no way. And I thought, like, well, we already had the website, like, we had a lot of the marketing stuff in place. Sandy, it did. It did. They knew what they were talking about. You know what you're
Yep.
talking about. But thank goodness you have to go through that process, so you're going into it eyes open,
Mhm.
versus you go into it, you run out of money, you run out of time, right? Energy, steam, it becomes too much, and then you fall backwards. You need to have that solid blueprint mapping out ahead of you.
Yeah.
Then what would you say are some of the things that advisors aren't thinking about, the kind of the gaps when they're about to make that switch from being part of a team? Maybe they're an employee at a wirehouse or they're part of a team. Now they're branching out onto their own. What are some of the missteps?
So I think one of the biggest things is that they don't realize that they know they need financials, right? And what does it take to get to those financials, those end results? I think if what I have seen is a lot of times they're not aware that ensuring that they have a balance sheet, income statement, some of those basic financials, that it is a part of a regulatory compliance to have those.
Yes.
I think that they think it's nice to have all that bookkeeping or whatever. I know I should have it, but it's not that important right now. And they don't realize that at the end of the year, for as part of their compliance package, they've got to submit some level of financials, regardless of how small or how big they are, if they are a registered investment advisor.
You're right, that's our compliance team. How updated are they? I'm like, well, they're updated on a monthly basis for it too. And it only helps you more when be proactively managing the business when you look at those on a monthly, quarterly basis. Two,
Absolutely.
something you talk about in your chapter, Sandy, capital, right? So now you're leaving and it's going to cost you money. Where does that money come from? Are
Come
you
from.
self funding? Do you have people investing into your business and they have a share of equity? Is it loans, financing, grants? For any of those, you're going to need those reports.
Absolutely. Depending on where you're getting that source of funds from. Right? But again, sometimes folks bootstrap, right? And so if it's self-funding, they're thinking they don't need that. It's a nice to have. And that's what I was referencing in terms of no, you need to have that for regulatory purposes as well. But
Yes.
you're absolutely correct. If you're not self-funding, wherever you're getting those funds from, to get started, you gotta report back how you're doing, right? They want financials to see the strength of the business, the growth of the business, trends within the business, how you're spending their money,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, they're gonna want a report card on is the money that's being pumped into your business, is it making a difference? Do you have the cushion to pay it back if it is a loan or finance, or is it
Mhm,
revenue that they get a share of as
mhm.
well? Let's talk about the different ways of getting capital. This is a huge thing that I think a lot of female advisors aren't thinking about. And when I bring it up to them, like, "Oh, yeah, that's right. We can do that." Myself included, my work neighbor, we were going for a walk one day, and he goes, "I can see you're doing really well. Do you wanna just, blow it out of the water? Do you wanna pace yourself?" I'm like, "Well, I have a young family, but I do want to keep growing. We're doing really well." He goes, "Well, what's stopping you?" And I said, "I need a director of operations." He goes, "Well, why can't you hire them?" "We need the funding," right? And usually you need to hire before the funding's there, right? You hit that capacity and that's beforehand.
Yes.
And he brought it up to me, isn't he? So, what are the different ways these female advisors, and male advisors too, but they can get access to startup capital to get this going for them?
Yes. So there are multiple ways that one can get funding. Obviously, the sweetest one is some grants, if they can get in,
Mhm.
if they're eligible for grants. The Small Business Administration obviously has different programs that you can go and get a loan from or get some funding from. You can go the traditional route and go to a bank. There are some CDFIs who would be willing to fund you as well. Um, and obviously private equity, right? um, or or if you want to get into any other type of there's some other types of debt that one can get into as well, um, that they could be eligible for. So I think the advice that I always give to my prospective clients or current clients is to cast a wide net because especially for women advisors, we of course are typically a little bit more underserved or underinformed of all the multiple ways that we could get funding. And so I try to help them cast a wide net, explore every opportunity. You don't have to say yes and you don't have to marry them all, but go on as many dates as possible to see what is out there, what you might be eligible for. Then reconnect back with your advisor to make the best decision in terms of what's best for you, your business, and your family.
Yes, it's great advice, Sandy. I remember having a spreadsheet, right, with the different options that we were exploring because they're very, very, very
Right.
different requirements to apply. Something along with those financial records, as you said, right, the profit loss statement, the balance sheet, your debt schedule, your business plan was something
Mhm.
else that we noticed. Projections, your marketing strategy, client retention, Bill, having a solid business plan with those financials, it's very
Exactly.
important. It's like
And
kinda like when you get divorced, right? You need to have some prep work going into it.
and you know what? And that's where having the right professional in place comes into play, right? You want to have some good record keeping type of professional, but you also want to have the one that's a little bit more strategic, who can provide projections for you, a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan. What does that look like? What do you hope to where do you hope to be in your business, right? How you plan on growing revenues. So to have someone a little bit more strategic, like a fractional CFO, who can help guide you and provide a budget for you and then projections to track against your actuals and how things are going.
Oh, beautiful. I loved your chapter and how you laid it out, Sandy, with all these key components that, again, I think are very not thought about, overlooked as well.
Mhm.
You talk about benefits and payroll too. And it's so interesting, you were talking about it all the time, right? For me, I'm like, I do the shredding, I do the cleaning, I do some of the compliance, I'm the HR department,
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
You're recreating everything. So let's talk about what goes into these different departments and recreating them now you're independent.
Right, right. Well, one is, even as you're starting out, I always suggest think ahead. Who you might need. Yes, you
Mhm,
are the chief bottle washer today, but you may not be that chief bottle washer tomorrow, right?
mm,
So you want to think about how you want to structure your firm as far as the key individuals and the critical um, positions and job descriptions and individuals that you're going to have as you build your team, right? And you have them nicely lay out. And then I would go out and benchmark to figure out how much should I be paying someone like this?
yeah.
Then try to think outside of the box. Again, this is why we have so many advisors and some of the other women who I know that are part of this group of the that of authors in this book today in terms of recruiting and so on and so forth, because you need to think about salary and benefits, but they can help you and your financial person can help you think outside of the box, that you may be able to hire a chief operating officer on a fractional basis,
Mm,
right?
mhm.
And so you may think, well, to get a COO, I need X dollars. When will I ever get there? I'm just starting out. But for the fraction of the cost, you can get that talent. Same with a CFO, at the fraction of the cost, you can get that talent. And within HR and recruiting, right? Someone to help you build out your benefit packages, someone to help you build out your payroll. How much should you be paying all these individuals? What platform should I be paying them on? And then another huge component within that HR and benefits is compliance, because we may want to bring some folks on as 1099s, but there are certain rules and compliance in terms of the labor laws of who constitutes an employee versus an independent contractor,
Sure.
right? How much control do you have over this person, their schedule, their time, what they do, the resources that they're utilizing to provide the service for you? God forbid you got an audit and they come in and they look at that and wait a minute, this person is more a W 2, an employee, than they are an independent contractor. So you do want to make sure when it comes to that payroll and benefit side that you are, speaking and getting advice from the right individuals who will advise you accordingly to ensure that you don't fall into any of those loopholes.
Yes, very good cautions there, Sandy, and for explaining that as well. And you're right. You can get an HR professional as a consultant. There's a ton, especially people, they had a career in HR and now they want some flexibility. They launch their own company and you can plug into them one offs or on a retainer kind of basis.
Yeah.
I remember somebody, I forget where I read it, but they said your first hire as a business owner, usually as an operations person, they're a Swiss Army knife. They Swiss Army, right? There's no task too big, too small. They will attack it. They will get it done. They'll create a process. But then as you grow and scale, you can now get that the butcher knife, I'm not good with knives names, right? But you get the steak knife, you can get all the different more
Different, right.
specialized people for those roles,
Correct.
for it too. But you would probably also have that integrator, that central hub person that really ties all the different departments in together and has a good understanding bringing it together as well. Great tip on the benchmarking their salary to
Mhm.
understand in your area what is that average salary, and is it that the average for somebody who's been in that role for 20 years versus 2 years? What's their
Right.
experience? MBA, is there designations along with it for it too? How about building out? This is a tough one, Sandy. You're the advisor, you're the business owner. How do you figure out your own salary?
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? It's so critical to make sure you do that for tax purposes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there is something called an accountable plan, and there's something called reasonable compensation in the world of tax and IRS and all that.
Mhm. I'm
And so, therefore, again, having a financial person in your corner that can speak to and advise you along those lines, they can actually prepare for you what's called a reasonable compensation study. It's just as the word says it is.
Yeah.
What is a reasonable compensation for someone as you, as the CEO? Too often times, and especially as women, we underpay or do not pay ourselves.
Oh, I hear that all the time. I'm gonna start paying myself next year.
Yes. Yes. You have to really, and again, as you're looking to project and you have projections and you're building out that infrastructure, right? You're looking at your financials. If you don't include a reasonable compensation for yourself, you're not really coming up with a correct break even number for you and your business.
Yeah.
That's a huge gap that you'll be leaving out if you think, oh, you know what, for supplies and for HR and for technology and for my space, this is how much I need and I'm all done. That is not your break even number if it does not include a reasonable compensation for you as the business owner. So it's important, important, important. Whether you can afford to pay yourself now or not, that's not the issue. You need to calculate it, you need to have it, you need to budget and plan and project for it so that if not today, you know exactly when, date and time, by this date and time, I'll be able to pay myself what I'm worth. What's a reasonable compensation for me as the CEO of my financial firm?
Yes. And what about revenue? So we have having your own salary and then going back to financing a loan, you're gonna need that regardless.
Right, right.
And then what about now we're starting to make a profit. Right. How much should that business owner tap into that profit or reinvest back in or give out as bonuses? What would you say, Sandy?
Oh, our favorite line in the financial world, it depends.
Kind of case basis.
It's a case by case basis, yes.
Mhm.
It's good to you know, as one makes decisions, it's always best to make decisions based on the numbers. Again, which is why having good financials are so critical for you as the business owner versus emotional. This is what I think, right? So
Mhm.
it all depends on cash flow, break even. There's quite a few different things that one should consider to help make the decision whether to reinvest or to make a distribution. It's not an easy one, two, three. Oh, I have profit, so therefore we should take distributions and pay all the partners or me or pay whatever. There's a couple of key considerations. And so I would suggest definitely making sure you have a CFO in your corner to help decide. Why is that important? Again, never look at anything in a box, but you want to have a holistic approach to
Sure.
everything, a holistic approach.
Sure. Because I'm thinking come December, right? Oh, we did well this year. We have a profit, but then taxes, right? You pay out all the profit. There's nothing left of you need to lean on for taxes or just having that nice buffer emergency fund. And we talk about a lot as advisors too. Those are two immediately think I'm like, oh, let's just
That you think of. Yeah. So, I have a unique career story. I was hired once because the auditors of a company had noticed that the the folks had paid out bonuses and so on and so forth before the audit was finished.
Mhm.
And then when the auditors finished with their audit, they had such a huge adjustment
Oh.
to the bottom line, but they had already paid out certain things.
Ah.
So, um, that was the premise upon which, I was hired into one of the companies that I worked for. And so I always say, again, if you are preparing financials monthly and you're talking to the finance person on a consistent basis, you're not only looking at the balance sheet, the income statement, but you are also looking at the cash flow statement.
Mm.
Where did the money go? And all that. All of them combined will help you to decide, you know what, I'm putting away a certain amount for taxes, I'm putting away a certain amount for bonuses, and so on and so forth, allowing you to then make decisions based on what the numbers say they are, but not just how you feel or what you think.
Oh, great forewarning tale, Sandy. Very interesting. Yeah, so we're gonna get into a little bit of what got you into the career too when we take a break
Okay.
here coming up. But a few more pieces of your chapter that we need to touch on.
All right.
Insurance. We have E&O, we had
Insurance.
liability, cyber insurance, which is huge now. Very, very important.
Especially today, yep. Cyber is huge today.
Mhm.
Liability, professional liability is the next big one. And then obviously there's some other ones like key man insurance that you want to have just to protect for, the owner of the firm at minimum, right? The owner of the firm at minimum. Again, if we're just talking startup, then for sure it's just one key man or key woman. And then let's see, what are some other insurances? I can't remember all the insurances I mentioned here in the book,
Yeah,
but
we talked a lot of insurance, the E&O. There was one
oh, yes, errors and omissions. Yes, director's insurance. Yeah, thanks for you know, it's that beach brain.
I'm so jealous of you right now, Sandy. I'm so jealous. I'm in rainy New Jersey. Finally raining. We needed rain. One insurance you brought up, fiduciary insurance.
Mhm.
Tell me about fiduciary insurance. This is becoming bigger with the Department of Labor, best interest forms for retirement accounts, is what I'm guessing, right, Sandy?
Yes. So at you know, you have a fiduciary responsibility as a financial advisor in most cases
Mhm.
in protecting your clients' monies and funds. And so that is definitely one of the the insurances that one needs to consider. You don't always think about it, but it's definitely, one that's very important. Hold on one second. Let me see something here.
Sure, sure. Mhm. Take your time. Yeah, going through all the different insurances, I know there's one now that you can do for reputation because of how quickly your reputation can go south.
Oh, yes, reputation risk. Yeah, yeah. I wanted to what I wanted to do was reference back to the chapter in the book really quickly here, because I wanted to make sure that I didn't leave out any, but especially on institutional clients. I think that's where, for your institutional clients, it is required that you have some type of fiduciary insurance.
Mhm. Okay.
Um, Again, for retail clients, fiduciary liability is also recommended, but I think on institutional clients, it is critical to have.
Very good. Thank you for bringing that up. These are things that a lot of people don't talk about. And this is why we put the book together Beyond the Broker because there really isn't a guide map of all these different components you need to be thinking about getting in place. And then what happens? You feel you're walking around and at any point one shoe's gonna fall and you don't know what it is.
Right.
Because did I cover everything that I had to cover? Um,
The thing too is, Jessica, so, you know, I was part of a startup registered investment advisor several years back, but in writing this chapter, what I was able to do to kind of help jog some of my memory, I interviewed one of my ex-coworkers who was with me in that startup, and now she is a partner in another startup. So she was with me as an employee in a startup, but now she's a partner in a startup and responsible for some of all of these. And she was like, I didn't know about this and I didn't know about that. So it was a great little, quick interview that I referenced as well in the chapter. But I did that because I knew I couldn't rely on myself because it had been a few years that I was
Mhm.
with a startup. And, having someone who is now starting up and grinding it away and trying to figure it all out was very helpful as well. So,
What great insights you got with that. With that.
yes.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. This has been fascinating talking about financial reports, your business plan, different ways to get funding, insurance, all of that. We're going to come back with Sandy as she gives us her Beyond the Broker tip and trend. So stay tuned, ladies. At the Wealth Boutique, we know there's a different kind of wealth. It's not just about the dollars in your account, but that sense of freedom, confidence, and security that comes with it. We know that money isn't just about the math, it's so deeply intertwined with your emotions, values, aspirations. And it's your time. For too damn long, society has whispered in your ear, planting seeds of shame, guilt, greed, embarrassment around money. But here we say and do something different. We give you permission to be who you are meant to be, to spend where it feels good, and to invest where your heart is. Our female-focused team of advisors understands the unique financial journeys of women, couples, and their families. We're not here to just talk numbers. We're here to help you craft your own financial triumph story, one that reflects your goals and values. We open up our arms at the Wealth Boutique to guide you, be your confidant, your advocate, your ally, whether it's your retirement, financial plan, or estate plan. Let's craft your unique story and get started. All right, ladies, we are back with Sandy Penny, one of our authors of Beyond the Broker, and she is your personal CFO for your business. And Sandy, we are at that time of the show. We're going to ask you a few questions. Our first one is, what is that Beyond the Broker tip that you would give to these fierce females who are about to leave the wirehouse, the captive side, and going independent, launching their independence?
Yes. My greatest tip, honestly, is do not underestimate the value that a financial person can bring to you to complement you in your journey as you are launching your new firm. Building out that financial infrastructure, it may have a price tag for you. However, it would be double X, triple X, even quadruple X, and sometimes if you leave it for later. Do what you can do now instead of leaving it for later.
It's kind of eating the same advice that we give to our clients. We tell them to have a financial professional helping them, guiding them, protecting them with the different forms of insurance or legal documents. Same thing for our own firms, our own businesses, Sandy. Do not underestimate that, ladies. All right. What about a trend? Is there a trend that you're noticing with women in the industry? I'm always curious with this question.
Wow. So the one thing, as I thought about that question, I thought about the generational wealth transfer that I am seeing happening.
Interesting. Yes. Tell me about it.
So I think that in terms of our clients and the demographics of our clients, that we are seeing that there's a lot of that transfer of that wealth coming down the pipe that we need to prepare ourselves for and prepare the younger generation for as well.
Yes. I contributed a chapter in the book about multi-generational firms. So we see it on the firm side as well. And I get a lot of daughters of financial advisors who reach out to me since I'm very vocal about being one. Um, and it's a different generation. It's a different mindset.
It's all
It's marketing themselves, and it's hard the younger generation to put them into that kind of box job title description that the traditional older generations used to, and there's a lot of conflicts there.
mhm,
Conflicts
mhm.
can be
And also just when you think about the mindset,
mm,
the way they think and how they wanna do things is so different, right? And so we need to adapt to be able to serve them well.
yes, and make them feel welcome, their ideas welcome well, and the younger generation so honoring and respecting the older generation on board too. And then on the personal side, as you said, right, for one generation passing and the baby boomers, they're gonna have the largest assets that any other generation before them. There's a huge wealth
Yes.
transfer coming, and getting everybody ready.
Prepared
Mhm.
prepared to receive that as well, yes.
That is huge. Huge. And Sandy, what got you into we talked about, bopping back and forth from Aruba to the States, getting your MBA. What interested you in accounting and finance? Were you always intrigued by it as a little girl?
Yes, surprisingly, from ninth grade, I knew I wanted to be an accountant.
Ninth grade.
And
Wow.
ninth grade, yes. So in Aruba, in ninth grade, you have to choose a kind of study package and a
Okay.
semi-career path. Imagine at that young age.
No.
And I was really good with math. So math and physics were the two that I had, and I figured I'll take two new ones that were being introduced, and the two new ones were bookkeeping and economics.
Oh my gosh.
And I instantly fell in love with the bookkeeping and economics. I mean, I was really good at math, and everyone was thinking engineering and going that route, and but I didn't like some of the physics, or the chemistry that would go along with that. So when I got introduced to bookkeeping and economics, I thought, and the business side, I really fell in love. So I knew right off the bat I was going to study to become an accountant. I left at 16 and came to New York. I went to Hofstra University in Hempstead, Long Island, and studied accounting. And then I traveled around a little bit. I went to Europe and I worked for Touche Ross at the time. And there they encouraged me to go back to America because if I were to pursue accounting in Europe, it would be the chartered accountancy and I would kind of have to start over somewhat.
Oh,
So they encouraged me to come back to America.
wow.
I came back and started at St. John's and I picked accounting again to get my master's. But my first semester, my professors were like, I think you have accounting down. I don't think you need to do this again. So why don't you just go sit for the CPA exam and and then, we'll figure things out. Well, I passed on the first try, and then switched my major to finance and combined accounting and finance. Interestingly enough, graduating with my MBA in 1990, I was recruited with one of the big four firms. And as I walked in, my first client was an investment bank on Wall Street.
Wow.
And so that just paved the way for a career in finance, in accounting. I've worked in every area of accounting and finance, from going all the way up the controller side of things versus going up the CFO side of things in financial planning and analyses. And then I've done internal audit, external audit. So I've covered all the bases.
Wow, what a well-rounded and really jumping right in, investment banker, first client. Okay, let's do it. What we can learn and how we can grow here. And when did you branch off and launch your own business?
I first filed for my LLC in April of 2018.
Okay.
I started Executive Financial Partners, and have been working and serving smaller businesses in accounting, and providing accounting and financial services to them, um, independently.
Beautiful. Beautiful. We have one more question for you, Sandy.
Sure, absolutely.
What makes you a woman behind the millions?
A woman behind the millions. The thing that I thought about when I got that question, I thought, I'm a perfectionist at heart. And I'm a servant leader, but I'm a perfectionist at heart. I think I won't leave any detail to chance.
Mm, sense.
And so that, again, being also very resourceful,
Mhm.
and having worked in all the areas of accounting and finance, I feel as though I definitely one who can serve in this capacity and have served my clients in this capacity, building out financial infrastructures for them to sustain them beyond the millions.
And I would say the stronger our own financial houses are in order, being owners of our own firms, the stronger we can show for our clients and for our friends.
Ab-
So for you to be able
Absolutely.
to support us in that degree only makes us better advisors, more present, less stressed. That's for sure, less stressed, better prepared, and we're going to grow much more efficiently. And we're going to hit those trajectories, those goals that we set aside years ago and stuff. So thank you, Sandy, so much for one being a part of Beyond the Broker, for doing what you do, for showing up, being interviewed today. Where can all of the ladies find you, Sandy?
So, Executive Financial Partners, you can find me www.executivefinancialpartners.com. I am on LinkedIn as well, very active on the LinkedIn as an individual, as Sandy Petty, as well as a firm, Executive Financial Partners. I look forward to serving you all, and it was so, so great to be here with you, Jessica. Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, thank you, Sandy, and thank you for being so open and honest and sharing all these amazing insights for it. You ladies are going to take a quick break and stay with us for the after show. At Pinkfix Production, your story matters, your voice matters, you matter. It is a privilege to hear your story because of the truth behind it. But it also takes a courageous woman to be bold enough to tell their story, knowing some will judge you, but most, yes, most, will applaud you. We want you to step into being a thought leader and making change in this world, because let's face it, lady, you won't feel satisfied until you make your mark on the world. We accomplish this through several forms of media: podcasts, book publishing, magazines, TV shows, and events. We take you through our 5-step proven process to becoming a thought leader, from getting clarity over your mission, building confidence to use your voice, leveraging the media to declare your mission, aligning with strategic partners, and how to launch your legacy. Yes, we build a platform with you so you can ignite your revolution. Wow, that was incredible having Sandy Petty. What a coincidence. She is from Aruba. She was on our national basketball team. That it blows my mind. How cool is that? I can't wait to hook up with her when I'm in Aruba next. Very jealous she's there now versus rainy New Jersey. Although we're getting snow tomorrow. But it is interesting when you look at launching your own business, a house. We joked about it, but it's true. It's going to take longer and it's going to cost you more money. And where that is, I would say probably a good buffer is 50% longer, 50% more money for it. And there's so many more moving pieces than you know. And that's why my husband and I have 3 businesses now. We have 2 rental properties. We always have one key manager running them for us because it'd be impossible without that key person. So that would be my first recommendation is having that go-to person that's going to take your style, your designs, your taste, your budget, and then execute it for you, keeping you in the loop. Communication is huge and there as well. And then the second tip is the financing of it. So what is that money that you're going to tap into when you're launching the business or that rental property, which is like a business in and of itself as well? What kind of loans are you looking at? What are the interest rates? Down payment? You're going to need liquid cash on hand for things that come up, whether it's something as small as like the inspection or hiring a consultant like Sandy. And for it too, you're gonna wanna have that liquid capital. And then things like for my husband and I, for furnishing, we'd always get a 0% interest credit card, knowing as we start to rent it out, we're now gonna pay that off too. We get the points, and then we use those points to go on our next trip with the kids. So we've built in this system after having done it twice now. And we love helping other couples, other people who are looking for rental properties as well to figure out those components. But for some reason, as financial advisors, we really shy away from getting financing. I remember hearing somebody say poor people call financing as loans, wealthy people call it as financing or leverage. Poor people call it debt. Right? It's a different mindset and to use. And do you want to pull from family money to start your business? Do you want to pull from your personal money to start your business? And maybe it's a little of that and it's capital for it too, but you want to start with your grants if you're eligible. If you're a female business owner or maybe a minority business owner, apply for grants. You will need a solid business plan in place for it too. Talk to your local bank. Get a good relationship with your local bank. Have them see you on a regular basis. We also tell this to our older clients, right? With power of attorney, let the bank meet your power of attorney, bring them in so they can see who it is for you. And then, especially for finance, if you own a book of business, right, go to a bank that specializes in that business. They're going to understand the value of your business more than a brick and mortar bank or an online bank will ever know. So they're going to value it differently. They're going to give you a better price on your book of business and lend you probably more money than the other ones too. So I would recommend go to a bank that specializes in your industry. They're going to understand your recurring revenue versus one-time revenue, just a regular cost. They also will help you if they think you're spending too much money, let's say on your team versus some other areas or too much on technology. They're going to give you some industry averages to go against and give you actually a rating score of how you compare. And then they're do a business valuation every single year. We do it. We're doing it right now. We're meeting with our consultant in the next, I think, 2 weeks to see how is that growth doing and the money that you're reinvesting back into it, whether it's with your team, your technology, your marketing, your events, is that actually helping with your growth? And are you getting more recurring revenue or more one-time revenue coming in? So always do a business valuation and include that business valuation in your personal financial plan, retirement plan, because it is an asset that you are working on and building. So that's one part of why I reinvest a lot back into the business because when we hit 40 to 60% growth every year, can get on the markets right now. That's where we're going to get the most bang for our buck. Also building liquidity as well for it too. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on Women Behind the Millions and staying on for the after show recap where I get to share a little bit on hot money topics and things that we've been dealing with that relates to the show. Well, we will see you next week for another episode. This is our Beyond the Broker era. Ending on Taylor Swift, our Beyond the Broker era. and another author of our newest anthology book that we're working on here at Pink Fix Productions. We'll see you then, and thank you so much for tuning in, all of you amazing money queens. We'll see you soon. Hey, money queens, looking to get your wealth to that next level, 7, 8, 9 figures? Follow us on Instagram at pinkfixmymoney and at Women's Wealth Boutique for more millionaire money tips.